Welcome to KXAN News today. Austin police really need your help finding the person who they say killed a man who was found dead at a homeless camp on Saturday. This was happening yesterday in the afternoon, and APD said that the death is a homicide. Police came across a burned tent in the Greenbelt in southeast Austin. Investigators believe the fire covered up the man's death.
Today, you can participate in a hearing for the effects of media on minors. There's public comment during a joint legislative committee hearing. It is inside the state capitol here in Austin at 9.
Travis County Commissioners Court first voting session of the new year is this morning. It starts at 9. They have multiple items on the agenda. There is an effort to focus on updates, though, from the Office of Emergency Management on the winter weather preparations, which you are going to need to start getting ready. Cold weather has a bite to it. That is for sure early this morning on a Tuesday. Watching for some wet weather, too, a mix of that later on in the week. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm Sally Hernandez.
And I'm Tom Miller. Meteorologist Kristen Curry here with us as well. And as we move toward this, I think a major concern is the roads. We know thousands of people will be driving to Arlington to watch the Longhorns and the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. And we know that this is likely going to target our area on Thursday. So let me show you what we've got today, and then we'll launch into the unfortunately deteriorating weather conditions we expect as a lot of us try and get out on the road. Right now, radar is indicating there's a couple flurries up in northern San Saba County. A lot of that probably not even reaching the ground. We are so dry down here at the surface, but you know what? It's certainly cold enough to snow. We've got temperatures widespread in the 20s and 30s this morning. Central Texas looking at another freeze here with Austin at 31, 28 Burnett, 26 Fredericksburg, 27 in Bastrop. Because of that cold, we've got a cold weather advisory in place yet again. This goes until 9 a.m. this morning. As far as where we go from here, though, we do anticipate temperatures to climb above freezing, highs in the upper 40s with mainly sunny and dry skies to help get us there. Not anticipating anything in the way of rain today, and for the most part tomorrow's also trending mostly dry. It's Thursday. Thursday will be the big day for precipitation. What it falls as, that is still something we'll watch, and I've got an update for you coming up here in your first morning forecast. Tom?
Thank you, Kristen. Governor Greg Abbott is activating state emergency response resources all across the state. Texas Division of Emergency Management is going to be updating warming center maps. Meantime, Texas A&M Forest Service, it is preparing to assist with clearing any ice, and the National Guard is prepared for rescues if drivers get stranded. And as you hit the road this morning, maybe looking a bit different, the Texas Department of Transportation treating bridges and flyovers because of the threat of icy weather out there.
Yeah, they're ready.
Yeah, they are ready. You saw, I saw it on my way in this morning. Current record for traffic incidents in one day in Austin set during 2023's ice storm. We had 460 in one day.
And one day, the previous record was 440 incidents, and that was during the 2021 storm. KXAN's Eric Hendrickson exploring what TxDOT is doing now to ensure that we don't have another record.
It's a simple message from state officials.
Stay home, avoid travel. If you must travel, make sure to check the weather.
As temperatures drop and the risk for icy rain and snow increases, the Texas Department of Transportation will pre-treat the roads with brine.
The saltwater mixture that can be sprayed on the roadways to prevent ice accumulation and to help melt ice and snow.
TxDOT will start pre-treating major highways like I-35 24 to 48 hours ahead of the freezing event.
Even with treatment of the roadways, winter weather is unpredictable, and so we advise drivers to stay off the roadways.
Lessons from previous winter storms are driving their actions.
We've learned that as a district, we need to be self-reliant.
Not only does this include stockpiling brine, but the addition of blades and snow plows. In 2023,
and we were able to get 3 plows that were being discarded from the Amarillo district.
TxDOT added 3 snow plows to the Austin area, and in 2024, 2 more joined the fleet. The agency has crews positioned to clear roadways during the storm.
But we do have maintenance offices located in each of our 11 counties. They will also prioritize major roadways in their areas. In Burnett County, for example, State Highway 29 would be prioritized.
Drivers will need to take steps too, like giving space to TxDOT crews clearing the roads and slowing down. TxDOT says they'll post up-to-the-minute road conditions on their website, drivetexas.org. In Williamson County, I'm Eric Hendrickson.
Eric, thank you so much for that. Well, TxDOT is not responsible for all the roads that we have here in Austin. That's why the Austin Transportation and Public Works Department is taking its own steps to prepare for any kind of possible winter weather. Since last winter, it has added some new resources and equipment, including a new snow plow attachment. And according to a newsletter sent out, crews have been doing field training and drills since November.
Also this morning, Governor Greg Abbott has named a new Texas Supreme Court Chief Justice. The governor appointing Houston native Justice Jimmy Blacklock. He replaces Nathan Hetch, the court's longest serving justice. Hetch stepped down at the end of December because of a mandatory judicial retirement age. Blacklock's term as Chief Justice runs through 2026. Before serving as part of the governor's general counsel, Blacklock also spent 6 years working as the Texas Attorney General, or in the Texas Attorney General's office.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resigning as leader of Canada's ruling Liberal Party. His announcement coming yesterday, and it follows growing calls for his resignation from inside his very own party. The opposition Conservative Party now has a more than 20% lead in the polls ahead of Canada's general elections. Trudeau will stay on as Prime Minister until a new leader is selected. Once again, that news coming down yesterday as Trudeau steps down and aside from the growing inflation criticism he also took on.
Back here in Central Texas, there is a herd of goats working hard to ensure that one part of Travis County stays safe from a potential wildfire risk.
Lake Travis Fire Rescue has the goats, and they're eating some of the overgrown vegetation that was left over in Steiner Ranch in that area. Their grazing reduces the amount of plants that can fuel wildfires. The herd began grazing Saturday, and they're going to keep on doing it through Friday in the Greenbelt along the hiking trail.
If this seems familiar to you, the Trail Conservancy started using goats around Lady Bird Lake in Austin last year. They eat harmful plants along the hike and bike trail. Welcome back. Families in a South Austin neighborhood are worried that the freezing weather could start fires and then spread to their homes.
Yeah, it's a really scary situation. That's why Austin firefighters have started to work on a few homeless campfires, putting them out this past week. Neighbors say the camp off of William Cannon and Bluff Springs Drive, that one keeps on growing. Maury Leva and her family have lived close to that camp for the past 20 years. And she says people from the camps make their way into the neighborhood.
She shared her family's Ring security video with KXAN, and it shows what neighbors describe as some chaos there. Camera even catching a massive fire in the front yard last year.
I don't really have much of a clue who lives here. I just know it's multiple people. The fire department's come here about multiple times.
Austin's Homeless Strategy Office says its outreach teams are going to the camps to tell people about the cold shelters, and they'll be doing that this week.
Live look outside this morning. Still dark and early. This view from Georgetown. Waiting on sunrise. That's going to be 7:28 this morning. Sunset 5:46. So good 10 hours and 18 minutes of daylight ahead of us. Let me take you out west to California, where San Francisco got their fair share of winds yesterday. Wind advisory is still in effect, but the Golden State, unfortunately, bracing for what is expected to be one of the worst windstorms in the past decade, impacting portions of Los Angeles County and Ventura County. They expect sustained winds to be anywhere from about 30 to 50 miles per hour, with wind gusts 50 to 80 miles per hour, and even in mountain areas 80 to 100 miles per hour. The Weather Service asking people to stay indoors in parts of Southern California and away from windows in fear of trees coming down, in addition to widespread power outages expected in Southern California today.
Thank you, Kristen. The first and arguably most important meal of the day, breakfast, it's getting more expensive. Cost of items like coffee, your meat, your eggs, all are on the rise. Coming up on Today, NBC's Christine Roman sharing tips on saving money while still having an excellent breakfast. Still got to have it.
You still got to have breakfast. You still got to have, maybe last time you brought donuts for breakfast.
I did.
So maybe you just have a good friend like you.
I lost a bet.
Oh, that's what happened.
And so I brought donuts last week. Well, after 3 years as #1, Texas is no longer U-Haul's most popular state for people to move to.
No, not anymore. Texas falling to the second spot on the moving company's growth states of 2024 list. South Carolina now taking the #1 spot. After Texas, you had North Carolina, Florida, and then Tennessee. California experiencing the greatest net loss, ranking 50th for the 5th consecutive year. KXAN's digital reporter Abigail Jones has more findings from the list and where Austin ranks on the popular cities list in this story on our website at KXAN.com.
I think looking at that list, though, no surprises, right?
No,
South
not
Carolina,
I love
gorgeous.
the Carolinas, yeah.
Texas, California, Florida,
Yes.
all some warm weather states.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that.
Yes, and Tennessee. Well, no,
Tennessee?
California is where they're leaving. California is last on the list, and that doesn't surprise me either.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Let me show you what's going on with your forecast here. Clouds and radar showing quite a bit more cloud cover North Texas compared to yesterday. But as mentioned, even in the radar, starting to pick up on a couple little flurries there up towards San Saba and Lampasas County. Too dry at the surface to likely see any of those flakes survive that journey from the cloud to the ground. But you know what? If you are seeing San Saba, Lampasas County, anything in the way of flurries, let me know. I would love to know that, because unfortunately these dew points in the single digits are making it very tough for those snowflakes. Again, Ewell Kubota weather camera there in Georgetown, completely quiet. We've got temperatures in those 20s and 30s. It is very cold out there this morning, but because of the lighter winds, I don't think it's nearly as miserable as what we had yesterday. In fact, the temperatures are technically about a degree or so warmer than where we were yesterday at this time too, but it is still very cold enough to need that heavy coat this morning. A high of 48 today, mainly sunny skies. We've got northeast winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So even a little bit of wind will add a wind chill factor to that temperature, but in general, the winds will be much less of an issue today. As far as the highs go across Central Texas, we're still way below where we should be for this time of year. 62 is the average, and we've got widespread 40s underneath that mainly sunny and dry sky today. Let's get into the changes we anticipate to unfold here over the next 48 to 72 hours, because I do anticipate today to be relatively quiet. As far as, the changes go, starting tonight, there's going to be an increase in cloud cover and a little bit more moisture down here at the ground. I think by tomorrow, we're going to notice a lot more clouds in our sky. In fact, mainly cloudy to cloudy skies all day long. But I've lowered the rain chance and the precipitation chance for tomorrow. This storm system that we're watching out west has trended slower out over the western half of the nation. So I think that's going to delay our rain and our precipitation chances. And it's also going to allow our temperatures to recover a little bit, which means it's looking less like a freezing rain event for Austin and more like a liquid rain event for us here in Central Texas as a whole. Not to say we won't see any spotty wintry mix. I think especially Thursday morning when our temperatures are at their coldest, there's certainly that possibility of some snow flurries, some sleet, and some freezing rain west of 35. But in general, I'm looking at mainly showers as far as, liquid rain goes through the day on Thursday. And it's going to be on and off all day long with the spotty wintry mix, potentially some flurries, mainly in the hill country. You can see the coverage looks pretty good. I've upped the coverage to 90% for our Thursday. But even into Friday morning, those rain chances are going to taper down to about 10 to 20% by the time we hit daybreak. What about the state as a whole? Well, because of the slowing of that system, it does look like we're still going to get some big time snows up in North Texas, but the bullseye has shifted a little bit closer to that state line. So Dallas is still favored to get about 3 to 6 inches plus, but it is looking less like we're going to see as big of a mess down here in Central Texas. So cloudy and colder tomorrow. Once we hit tomorrow night into Thursday, starting to beef up the rain chances. Thursday still looks to be the main day, which is why that rain chance is at 90%. Again, not ruling out a wintry mix, just the primary form of precipitation will be rain here in Austin. Further west you go, the more likely it's going to be a mix. We've got mainly to partly sunny skies behind this storm with temperatures recovering this weekend. Well, a major winter storm is causing chaos at some of the nation's airports. Heavy snow spreading from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic. We talked about this together yesterday. Well, the storm produced one of the largest single-day snowfalls in Kansas City history as it moved off to the east and continued to bring more snow to the Mid-Atlantic. It has left travel at a complete standstill in parts of the Midway. With 11 inches of snow on the ground, air travel is all but paralyzed at Kansas City International Airport. Hundreds of passengers are waiting in long lines, packing their patience, hoping to board any flight that they can get on. Sally?
Mess. I have a friend that lives over there. It's a mess. All right, Kristen, thank you. Costco is recalling cold and flu medicine. Not the best time because so many of you do have a cold and maybe even the flu, but don't take this one. It may be contaminated with foreign material from the supplier. According to a post on Costco's website, this is for the Kirkland Signature Severe Cold and Flu Plus Congestion Medicine. So it's Costco's brand. If you bought it between October 30th and November 30th, then you need to know that this is going to be recalled because of those dates. The medicine is just out of an abundance of caution is why it's being recalled. No indication anyone has gotten sick so far. President Biden is moving to ban new offshore oil and gas drilling in most U.S. coastal waters. Biden saying that he is using authority under federal law to protect offshore areas along the east and west coast, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and portions of Alaska's northern Bering Sea. The president says that his decision is backed by coastal communities that no offshore drilling could cause irreversible environmental damage. The spokesperson for Trump says the decision will be reversed after he takes office later on this month.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani is being cited for civil contempt of court. He is accused of failing to comply with a $148 million defamation ruling. The citation comes from the case involving two Georgia election workers. Their lawyers allege that Giuliani failed to surrender assets they are owed. Giuliani says the two election workers are upending his day-to-day life. He adds it's been difficult to obtain necessary paperwork, says he has not willfully disobeyed any court orders. Another trial is scheduled for January 16th to determine the status of some of Giuliani's possessions.
Millions of people celebrated Epiphany yesterday. That's a Christian holiday that honors the three wise men's visit to baby Jesus. And in many Latin American countries, the day is celebrated with a traditional pastry known as Rosca de Reyes. So we went over to South Austin store, Mi Tradicion. It's a bakery off of William Cannon. It was packed. Busy. Bakers were hard at work making the colorful ring-shaped cake. This was on top of the dozens of trays that they already made over the weekend. It's colorful sweet bread that comes with a little fun tradition inside. A small figurine in the shape of baby Jesus is hidden in the bread.
Whoever is the luckiest person to get the baby, there's gonna be the tradition is they have to throw a party.
Rosca de Reyes is often flavored with orange blossom. It has candied fruits. It represents the jewels of a royal crown.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good morning, all. Happy Tuesday. Texas football in. Some of the reporters have Delta frequent flyer miles from going to Atlanta so much recently. If they win this week, they go back to Atlanta. Yeah, very exciting. But this week, glorious this week, folks. Old Faithful right here does not get enough respect. I would hug this video board if that did not mean I would get fired. Nothing about 35,000 feet in the air, just a high 35. And that is good news as Texas football is in Arlington for the Cotton Bowl. An easy drive for most of us. AT&T Stadium has been nice to a lot of Texas players. They won the Big 12 championship game last year. Guys like Michael Taft and that great one-handed interception for Westlake in the state championship won a state title there in high school, as did Anthony Hill for Denton Ryan. He had a big game in the Big 12 championship game last year as well. So staying in a lot of these players' home state, and for some, really their hometown, is going to be fun.
It's really exciting. I mean, the family don't got to travel nowhere. Mom, dad, little brother don't have to really travel anywhere to get to the game. We're going to have a couple extra family members there, so it's going to be really cool.
I kind of go by the motto, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. And whenever you're in AT&T Stadium, that's always a big-time game. So you got to show up, you got to show out, you got to be confident.
To be able to stay in the great state of Texas and play a football game at AT&T Stadium. I'm a Cowboys fan, so.
And Texas Game Day, the official pregame show of Texas football at Friday, 5:30, getting you ready for kickoff over on KBVO. Well, what's new? Sunday over the weekend, Dallas Cowboys lost in Dallas Cowboys fashion, kind of final seconds to the Washington Commanders. Touchdown. Yeah, Washington wins. Exciting for them. Dallas finishes the season 7-10. Talk now, of course, after the loss goes to what it goes to after every season as of recent. Are they going to keep head coach Mike McCarthy? Here's owner, GM, president, all his titles, Jerry Jones, and if he's considering making a change, and it's just word salad.
I don't know that I am considering making a change, is really what I'm trying to say. I agree with you. And use the complimentary verbiage or the complimentary talk about him is, I think, fact. I think I can say that about him no matter what I'm thinking or not thinking.
All right, Jerry, interesting there. You know, don't know if you quite said anything, just a lot of words that happen to be strung together just by the fact you were saying them. Regardless, that's it for us. We'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, Noah. Coming up, how Austin leaders say they have learned some lessons from previous winter storms. If you're listening on the KXAN Today podcast, thanks for being with us. Hope you'll join us on air for that. You can find all our stories on our website, KXAN.com.